Alright, here we go. Today we're going to do a tutorial on how to make a custom die that has images to trace from. We're going to learn a lot of skills today. We'll start with what we already know. We're going to make a sketch. We'll choose the top plane, zoom to the top view using Shift 5, use the center point rectangle, click in the middle, and today I'm going to make it 30 millimeters rather than our usual 25, just to allow for a little bit more detail on the surface. So we'll click OK, and I'm going to give this a name. Just call it the base. Good practice to name all of your sketches, all your extrudes. We'll extrude this one and only face that we have, make it a cube, 30 millimeters. I'm working in millimeters, so I don't need to type millimeters. You may or may not. You can use centimeters if you wish. I'm going to hit this symmetric button. Again, remember it centers it around the plane rather than just doing out one way. And we'll just call this my cube. Next thing I'm going to do another sketch. I'm going to pick my top face, as I always like to start with. Again, the Shift 5. And I'm going to insert an image. If you already have the image downloaded, great. If you don't, you can do a search for something. You can say B clip art, and you want to have either a PNG or a JPEG file. And usually once you open up the file and save image as is going to be better than if you just try to save it right from the search. So here I have already downloaded. I'll hit the import button. I'll go into my downloads, find this b.jpg file, and now you can see it pops up here where it says draw rectangle. This is going to let me draw right on here. You want to be careful not to lock it onto any of on the sides of your cube. Try not to have it constrained. If you do that, I'll show you what happens. You can't drag it, you can only resize it. Maybe that is what you want. But if you want to be able to move it around, we'll say insert image. And again, it's actually in the drop down here the first time you do it. Insert image, click the B, it says, hey, where do you want it to be? No pun intended. And I want it to be something like this. I want to take up most of the space. And you know, I might even want to, if I decide I want to change the size later, we'll use this dimension tool. So right now I've got it at 27 centimeters. If I wanted to make it, or millimeters, if I wanted to make it the full amount, I could do this. Now it's the exact size. I might want to rotate it. I could use this transform button. I'm going to transform here. You can do a rotation like such, and maybe move it on an angle. Maybe that's what you want, maybe it's not. That's just an option. I'll just have it fits here. We'll do it like this, and I do want it slightly smaller. Like that. Cool. So now I have this drawing, and you might be saying, great, now I can just 3D print the B as is. Everything will be great. Unfortunately, that's not the case. What we're going to do is trace out the image. I'll go through it slowly. You might want to speed through this part, but I'll show a few new tools that might be useful for you. So I'm going to just try to get the shapes of things. I'm going to use the ellipse tool. This shape in the middle looks like an ellipse to me. So we're going to match it something like that. Doesn't need to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. Something like that. And, you know, again, maybe I do want to make it slightly smaller. Maybe we'll make it 17 and 10. Something like that. You can move it around. We're just trying to show you the different tools about here. There, that's just about perfect as far as I can tell. And then we can do something like add in some lines using the straight line tool. And in between, maybe you want to make a curved line actually. See, this here doesn't quite line up. So we'll introduce a new new line tool. The spline tool is probably my favorite tool. We click once, click a second time at the endpoints. You might be saying, hey, that looks exactly the same. What we'll do, we'll hit escape twice actually to get into the cursor mode. And then we can just curve this ever so slightly. And now it fits. It fits our drawing. I'm going to go back to that spline tool. And I'm going to click here, click here. I'm going to put in all my splines. I'm going to hit escape to start a new spline. And I'm going to put this one just up to here. And we'll put one here. put one here at the endpoints, and then we'll go back and change the curve, change the curve, change the curve, change the curve. And another thing to consider is that we're only going to be printing in 2 colors. So we have to start to think, hey, what part should stick out? What part should go under? And the other thing is also lines themselves will not be printed. They have to have some sort of dimensionality to them. So let's just hop out of here. I'm going to call this just my B sketch, so I remember what that is. You can also make it disappear as you wish, but we can also see in here are all the shapes that we have done. So maybe I want to do all of the black parts are going to be going into, maybe this will be, we'll make these ones different color. I'm going to make all the black parts different colors, and then all the other pieces will be the same as the background. So what we'll do now, I'm going to do an extrusion with the pieces that I've already done. And you can see by default it's kind of ridiculous. It's making giant shapes. We actually want to make new objects for all of those shapes I've done. I'm also going to change the direction so it's going into our die. But this is the one that's probably new to you. We're going to put it at 0.4 millimeters. You might be thinking, Mr. Barnum, that is not a lot of space, and I would have to agree with you. It is not that deep, but it only needs to be deep enough so that it can be printed in a different color. And one thing that I've noticed, and this is a common mistake that people make, I'm going to go back and fix this, is we go back into the drawing. You'll notice that there's no connection here. So this is left wide open. So we'll need to, I'm going to use straight lines here because this is all straight connections, like so. Then I'm going to go back to my spline for this curve. Actually, that should be good. So now, if I go back to my extrude, and I'm going to call this the new color. These will be all the things that will be a different color than the background. Right? You can see here's our 0.2 millimeters, which is about 2 layers on the 3D printer. Something like this. And so now we can get rid of the drawing to kind of get a look at what's going on. And aha, this is exactly what we want. So notice how it sort of looks like there's multiple colors because the computer is a bit unsure. It says, hey, there's part 1, which is our die. In fact, I'm going to label that. And all of our new pieces are occupying the same space. So what we need to fix that, what we'll do is use this tool here called Boolean. And we're going to subtract. And the tools are, hey, what is going to be doing the work? What's doing the work are these new pieces we've created, and the target is what is it cutting into. So we're going to cut into the die. And there's also this Keep Tools button. You can see this is the cut that's being made. We do want to keep these B pieces because we do want to print them. There are situations where you might want to leave it cut like this, and this is what we've seen before if you just want to have holes, for instance. So you absolutely could have just holes, but I'm going to try to do it with colors. So I'm going to keep the tools, and now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts plus our original die, and we're just going to call this 0.4 millimeter cut. Okay. All right. So there it is. So we've made our new color. We've made this. And the final thing I want to show you is the appearance. So I'm going to select parts 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to set these all to be a different color. I'm going to set them to be black. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can right click here and say Edit Appearance. Or you can right click over here and say Edit Appearance. And I'm going to make it not quite black. I'm going to make it dark black, or dark gray. There's reasons for that. It's hard to actually see if you have any shading at any point or any dimensionality. It's hard to see on the pure black. So I'm just going to make it the darkest gray I can. And while I'm at it, I'm going to set this die to be a different color. So we're going to edit its appearance, and similarly I'm going to pick this one that's white-ish. Again, if you do pure white, it's hard to see details. So there's the start of my bee, and hopefully that's enough to get you guys started. I'm going to end it there, and the next video we'll get into some more tools.